everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be doing another book tag, and fun fact, this is actually the first book tag that I ever filmed, but because I can't say words, every time I filmed it and went back to edit it, I was like cringing so badly, so I'm going to try and force myself to upload this one, but like, I can't say words. So this is the Harry Potter spells book tag, and because a lot of them have like Latin roots, I think, I can't say a lot of Harry Potter spells, especially ones that were not in the movies at all. So we're just gonna see how this goes. You're gonna be able to get the gist of what I'm trying to say even if I don't say the words correctly. So let's just do this. Since it's a spells book tag, we gotta get ourselves a wand. There we go, got myself a wand. Obviously, Fleur's wand. So let's do this book tag. Oh gosh, starting off with one that I can't pronounce. Any word with the lettering AG in it. I cannot say that. I don't think it's like a speech impediment. I just like legitimately can't say AG. So, flagrate. I can't even say flag, so of course I can't say this word. Flagrate is the writing charm, and it is a book you found interesting but would like to rewrite. For this I'm choosing a whole series. Bam! There's 3 things going on with this series and why I want to rewrite it. First of all, where is the strong female characters? Why can't James Dashner write female characters? Like, I'm serious. Why are the female characters in the book the most infuriating characters that I've ever read about in my life? They're so poorly written, but yet all the males are like really well developed and like complex characters. I'm like, really, you screwed that over. So I'd go ahead and fix the female characters. Next up, I hate James Dashner's style of writing. He has a very bland style of writing, like without many descriptors, but at the same time, like he also writes in a really confusing way where you can't really understand the story entirely. You like are more interested in the characters and you get like gist of the plot, but like other than that, I find like his writing to be very confusing and weird. So there we go. That's the second reason I'd rewrite it. The third reason I'd rewrite it, and potentially the biggest reason, is because James Dashner is a problematic person. He has sexually harassed women, so let's just like take his name away from that series and put another person there, say that they wrote it differently. I feel like this with a lot of series like Harry Potter and stuff. I'm like, the author is problematic as heck, and I wish we could just like have someone else rewrite it. Like, if I were a time traveler, I would go back and like write those series before they publish it, so that we can have a non-problematic person writing that series. Next up, we have Alohomora, The Unlocking Charm, a first book in a series that got you hooked. I'm going with one of my favorite series for this. You're probably tired of hearing me talk about this book, but bam! Cloaked in Shadow by Ben Alderson. It is one of the best books that I've ever read in my life. It is a queer fantasy with lots of representation. There's elves, shapeshifters, elemental magic. So good. I was really hooked with the first book in that series. Next up is Accio, which is the summoning spell, and it is a book that you wish you could have right now. I'm just gonna go with a book that I don't have yet that I really want. I want Heartstopper Volume 2. I've read the first book, but I haven't gotten Volume 2 yet. I just like haven't gotten around to it, even though I really enjoyed the first volume. I hopefully will be getting it soonish. I have a stimulus check. I got one. So I should buy that book, but I also don't want to start buying books with my stimulus check, because next thing you know, I'll have no money from the stimulus check left over to help with like bills and stuff. Because if I start spending money on books, like what if I go over the top and I like buy too many, and then where'd my stimulus money go? Oh, it's all completely gone. You know, I don't want to do that. I want to be smart. But yeah, Heartstopper is a gay romance series that's a graphic novel series that I really love. Avada Kedavra, The Killing Curse, a killer book. The Hunger Games, a very killer book because so much killing happens in it. So there's like tons of killing, so that part of the killer is taken care of, but it's also a killer book in the sense that it's like amazing, and I feel like if you really like something, sometimes you'll say that it's a killer like movie, killer book. So I'm going with The Hunger Games for this one. Next up is Confundo, The Confusion Charm, a book you found confusing. I'm gonna go with a book that I read very recently. I read an arc of it for the author to help get a review on for the book, but unfortunately I did not like the book because it didn't really make that much sense. There's the book. The Rose Kiss by Esme Rame. So the thing about The Rose Kiss is that it was a very interesting premise, but the way that the like magic system in the world was described and how the plot was going, like none of it made any sense to me, and at the end of the day, I couldn't even tell you how the main character solved the conflict in the story. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I mean, magic, like in general, isn't supposed to entirely make sense. I mean, it's magic, it's not supposed to be based in reality. but the magic system was like not well thought out in the Rose Kiss, so much so that like none of the magic made sense, and I was like really frustrated with it and really confused by it. So do not recommend that book unless you love to read every single retelling that there is in existence, because the Rose Kiss is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So when I found these tag questions online, there was 2 expecto patronums listed on the list of spells, and I am honestly not going to be answering the first expecto patronum because it says the guarding spell, your spirit animal book. Cat, please. And I'm not trying to like get into politics here, this has nothing to do with that, but a lot of people say that you should not be saying that things are your spirit animal unless you are indigenous, because it is really offensive, and spirit animals aren't just something to like joke around with. Like, it doesn't mean like this represents you or this is something like that you really like or anything like that. I personally use the phrase spirit animal a lot in the past, and I really do apologize for that. There's generally like a lack of misunderstanding for a lot of different things, and the phrase spirit animal is one of them, and I have been working on trying to become a better ally to all ethnicities and races, and I just don't feel comfortable like saying a book is my spirit animal right now, given that I know what that phrase means now, and I know that it's not something to like just use casually. Like, I'm not indigenous, so I don't get to claim that things are my spirit animal, and yeah. Anyways, next up is Sectum Sempra. It says that this is the Dark Curse, which it isn't really the Dark Curse, but like, it is what it is. It is a dark, twisted book. For this, I'm going with 10 by Gretchen McNeil. This is one of the few horror books or like thriller books that I read that I actually enjoyed. It's very dark, there's tons of murder and violence in it, but it is a pretty interesting book if you like horror stuff. I think it's a retelling of like a famous like Slaughterhouse-Five or something. I'm not sure. I haven't read the original one, but I did like the retelling. Although it's not really like advertised as a retelling, I just read other people's reviews and other people said it was a retelling, so that's why I said it was a retelling. So next up is Expecto Patronum, and this time the one that I actually feel comfortable answering that is a little more appropriate to say. So Expecto Patronum is obviously the Patronus charm and a childhood book connected to good memories. Bam! Harry Potter. This is a Harry Potter spells tag, and I am going to be using a Harry Potter book for it. In particular, I have a really strong and vivid memory of me reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the first time, and I was like outside in my backyard and it was sunny out, and I was reading the book and I was like walking around in a circle while reading the last few chapters. So yeah, I have really good memories attached to that series, of course. I'm wearing a Harry Potter shirt right now. You see this? See this? Yes, I am. Next up is Expelliarmus, Disarming Spell, a book that took you by surprise. Article 5, one of my favorite books of all time, because I picked this up from the used bookstore and it had no cover, no synopsis, but something about it intrigued me, and so I got it and I really enjoyed it, and it is one of my favorite books of all time now. Prior Incantatum, Reverse Spell, the last book that you read. So I'm just gonna go with the book that I'm currently reading because it always takes me forever to edit my videos, so by the time that this video goes up, I will definitely be done with the book. And the book that I'm currently reading is Dreidel to the Grave. I forget who the author is off the top of my head. The author contacted me on Goodreads and sent me a free copy of the book to review. I'm so far really enjoying it. I don't know, my thoughts will change later in the book. It deals a lot with this like conspiracy history theory that I'm really interested in. I'm not interested in it because like I want it to be true. I'm interested in it because it's interesting how history isn't always what we think it is. And I watched this episode of Josh Gates where he talked about this theory. And so basically Dreidel to the Grave takes this like history theory and really like makes it so it's like an alternate history, like it is true in this book, and then there's like an action story that unfolds from it. And so this history theory is that there is evidence to suggest that Hitler actually survived in World War II, and there's evidence to suggest that he fled to Argentina. In an expedition unknown with Josh Gates, he spends about like 2 or 3 episodes like talking about this, and in one of the episodes he went to this house where people believe that Hitler lived. It's very like creepy and disturbing because it's like we don't want Hitler to have lived. Like there definitely were Nazis in Argentina. Like it was not good that they escaped and fled there and that they were like safe there, sort of. But the fact that there is some suggestion that Hitler may have survived and like lived out his life is really disturbing, and I hope to God is not true. But it is like interesting, and for some reason I'm like really interested in it. Like it's bad, but I'm also really interested in it. And so this book is like an action book that's sort of like a Tom Cruise movie, but like revolving around this theory that people have. So I am personally enjoying it so far. Next up is Ridiculous, Boggart Banishing Spell, a funny book you've read. My Diary by Miranda Sings. Looks like it says My Diarrhea. I don't really read funny books that often, so I'm just gonna go with one that seems funny because I don't really laugh at books. I think the title is funny, so yeah, I'll go with that. Obviously, Miranda Sings is the YouTuber, and My Diary, or My Diarrhea, depending on how you read it, is her second book that she's ever written. It is much better than her first book, so if you didn't like her first book or you thought it was like very like mediocre, definitely still pick up My Diary because it is a lot better. So next up is Sonorous, Amplifying Charm, a book you think everyone should know about. The Black Flamingo. I've talked about this book a lot recently. It is a book written in verse about a mixed race teen who is gay, who discovers drag queens and gets really involved with that community, and I think that it's an incredible eye-opening book that everyone needs to read. Next up is Obliviate, Memory Charm, a book or spoiler you would like to forget having read in a good way. The thing that happens at the end of Elysian, I really wish I hadn't seen a spoiler for that. Within the book coming out, like the first 24 hours that it was out, there was articles coming out talking about what happened at the end of Elysian, and it was like in the title, so I couldn't really avoid it, and I got spoiled as soon as it came out. It's really quite frustrating, and I wish that I could have had the same experience as everyone else reading the book, because everyone who didn't see the spoiler was like really like heartbroken and like shocked and sad and went through a lot of emotions, and I wish that I could have experienced that, but I didn't really feel that sad about it because I'd already seen the spoiler and I'd mentally prepared myself since I saw the spoiler, so it didn't have the same impact on me as what it had for other people. Next up is Imperio, The Controlling Curse, a book you had to read for school. For this, I'm going with A Cottawitch by Nettie Okrifer. A Cottawitch is a really good book that I had to read for a children and teens literature class. If you have a children's and teen literature class and you're okay with English classes, especially in a college level, like really diving deep, because sometimes I feel like I don't catch the hidden messages in books like other people do, but if you are one of those people who can catch the hidden messages and stuff, definitely take a children's and teen literature course because you get to read so many fun books. So A Cottawitch was one of the ones that I had to read for that course, and I really loved it. It is a fantasy world, and I almost would like recommend it to fans of Harry Potter. I don't want to like spoil too much about it, but like it does involve a girl like discovering that she has powers and like learning how to use them and stuff. There is some like darker moments in it, but like it's really good, and it is one of the best fantasy books that I've ever read. Next up is Crucio, The Torture Charm, a book that's painful to read. When a book is painful to read, there could be two things going on. It could be like a bad book, and it could be like a painful, like sad book. So I'm gonna choose two books for this. Number one, The Odyssey by Homer. Really painful to read because it is really difficult to get through. It's really thick and really confusing and didn't make any sense, and I didn't have a teacher who taught the Odyssey very well. I had a teacher who was like making us feel stupid for not understanding it. So maybe if I had a better teacher I would have enjoyed the Odyssey, but I didn't have a good teacher, so yeah. And then a book that's sad and painful, The Death Cure. It is one of the saddest books I've ever read. It will definitely destroy your heart. It's just so sad. Like, you have to read the whole series to feel the sadness and the impact, and you really have to like let yourself get involved with these characters. But if you do that, it will destroy you and make you depressed. Next up is Defendo, Suffering Charm, a book you wish you could separate from a series. Going back to the Maze Runner series, I wish that I could separate The Kill Order from that series. The Kill Order is a book that I feel like a lot of people would be interested in if it wasn't connected to the Maze Runner series. I feel like some people are like, oh, Maze Runner is too hyped, like I didn't like the original series, so I'm not even gonna bother with The Kill Order, but The Kill Order is like almost better than the original series, and I feel like so many people would like it if it wasn't connected to the OG series, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it doesn't have really any of the characters from the original series. So if you didn't like the Maze Runner series, still check out The Kill Order because I recommend it and it will be worth it. Next up is Flopendo, The Knockback Jinx, a book that repels you. Sex and toxic relationships. That's basically what I've heard 50 Shades of Grey is about. Really repels me. I want nothing to do with that book. And the final prompt is Stupefy, Stunning Spell, a book that left you stunned speechless. For this one, I'm going with Touched by an Angel. I forget who the author is off the top of my head. Oh wait, Jonathan Morris. I think that's the author. It's in the like Doctor Who book series, which is like just additional episodes in book format. I really enjoyed Touched by an Angel. I read it so quickly that it left me like speechless and left me like thinking about lots of things, and it left me just like really happy. but also like emotional because it was also like a little sad. I'm just like stunned speechless by that book, and I never know how to put into words like how amazing it is. So yeah, that's really all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. You can feel free to hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I make a new video, and I'll see all of you on Friday for my next video. Goodbye!